Hello, I'm Matt Call with Great Basin Incident Management Team 1. We're here on the Mount Hood National Forest on the Camp Creek fire. Today's your update for September 8th. We're at 1,940 acres and we're at 17% containment. I'm going to show you the map and a couple other different maps, because if you've watched any of these, you know I like maps. This is the big zoomed out map, so we can show you where we're at in comparison to everything else. Here's the 26 highway. We've got Sandy's over here, Brightwood's over here. This red blob is our fire, and then this is the Bull Run watershed area, and then this is the actual Bull Run reservoirs. So you kind of know where we're at. All these marks here are random, not random things, but all details for us to help us tactically put out the fire. So what are we doing today? Well, we're doing a lot of the same stuff and a little bit of new stuff. It's a little bit warm today, a little bit warmer and sunny, and we're going to use that to our advantage to clean up some of these lines. We've been waiting for a window in the weather. We've had a lot of rain, which has really been good in subsiding the fire behavior and kind of keeping it at bay, allowing us to get some time to get some line around it. Now we're going to use the warming to our advantage to burn out some of these edges and clean up the line. So I'll show you where that's going to happen first today. Hopefully, if we get the window today or tomorrow, you'll probably see a little bit more smoke coming up off the fire, and that's going to be up here in what we call Division Alpha along the 12 road. As you've probably seen, if you've been watching, all this black edge means that's contained fire, so that's where the 17% comes from. And then all the red edge is uncontained fire edge. So why can't we just go in and make it all black? Well, the terrain and the fuels here make it unpractical or not safe that our firefighters can go in and put that containment line. So we use what's there, a road. We make it better by widening out the fuels, and then we use that and we do a controlled burning operation along there. We still have aircraft attached to the fire to help us today, so in case this gets a little bit more of a mind of its own, if the fire gets up in the trees too much, we've got engines and aircraft that kind of beat it back down and keep it just to what we want, because we want it on this side of the road and not that side. So in Alpha, that's where that's going to start today. We've got contained line, and then we've got contained line there, and then as we move around, so north is up. I'm going to try to put this up in the corner so it's a little bit easier to see. I think this is the good spot for you to see. This is all constructed line, so that will be contained here shortly. They're just mopping it up, so they've got hose lines in there, there's crews in there, they're digging in the duff, they're digging in the trees, and basically you've seen the pictures of the fuels out here. It's heavy fuels, it takes a long time to get that out, and we don't want to make that black until we're pretty confident that the fire is not going to cross that black line. So, but that'll turn black pretty soon. We're not going to see any fire progression right there. Fire perimeter moves down to a road, and this is all contained as well, and still being mopped up, but that's another piece of containment. Here's where it gets a little bit more complicated. We've got a little piece of what we call check line here. Not really going to be a piece of permanent line because there's nowhere through here to go. It's kind of like a dead end, it's like a cul-de-sac. If we don't have anywhere to go, the fire can come around and hook. So we have to have an end point in it. But what we've done is put a piece of line there called the check line that slows that eastward and northeastward progression down. And then we've got some hose lines out there, so we're keeping that progression from moving until we have the opportunity to use this road to burn off of. So as we progress around this road, this is the kind of where the 12 road loops around and connects to the 14 road. So this is the big piece of indirect line. It's all prepped. We've removed a bunch of fuels, removed those ladder fuels. So when we do go in and burn that, the fire stays on the ground where we want it to and is less intense than what we want, or is at the intensity level that we want. So that's kind of a few days out still. That's kind of the indirect piece. We'll keep making a lap around here. And this connects back to the edge of the fire. And right here, we're going direct. So tomorrow you'll see this kind of thing on this piece. So we're going direct here. The fuels and the terrain have allowed us to go in with some dozers and some feller bunchers and some hand crews. And we can plumb it. And we're basically going to have more line constructed there, so we won't have to burn that out. And then right here we have hand line, and you can see the fire edge has changed. If we zoom in quite a bit, that's actually the line, you see how squiggly it is, took a lot of time to put that curvy line in because they followed the edge of the perimeter. So imagine if we did that all the way around, the time and effort it would take versus just using the road. So the road makes sense in a lot of areas. This is an area where they were able to just go direct, where they kind of hooked that corner. And then we've got a little bit of heat here that's encompassed in the hand line. So don't worry too much about that little spot there. So that's kind of the full circle around the fire there. I'm going to zoom out so you can kind of see we've made the whole lap. Oh, there's one spot I haven't talked about. This critical spot here. We put this hand line in here a few days ago with the idea of burning this, but this is a couple hundred acres. It's not ideal, so we were able to go in there, mitigate some snag hazards, and put some hand line in. So in a couple of days that will be finished. We're pretty confident that's secure, so we won't have to burn this more likely than not because we've got direct line right there. So what that means in the big picture is is a good control line around almost half of this. Within the next day or two is our goal. Provided we get the weather that we're able to burn, that's kind of our goal for the end of the weekend. So I'm going to switch to the Google map so you can kind of see what that terrain looks like, and because I think it's really cool. So all this hot edge, that's all going to have good secure line around it. And then where we don't have opportunities to go in direct, that's this drainage right here. You can see this drainage goes all the way down into the reservoir. But it's kind of steep right there, and there's quite a few fuels. So we're pretty much just going to have to use that road network right now. We're still optimistic. We still keep looking every day, but it's a pretty complex piece of ground. There's big trees, big dead trees. And we kind of have to weigh the risk reward with putting our crews in harm's way and what we're going to gain for that versus backing off and coming out to the road. So that's all we've got for today. We'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow.